Hello and welcome to another Musings of a Sanguine Christian Woman episode. I am Adeolua, and in this episode, I just want to talk about the issue of, I shouldn't call it the issue of, but I want to talk about the news that has gone wild in social media about Hakimi. Now, I'm not talking about it necessarily because it's popular. I'm just talking about it because it raised a lot of issues. It raised a lot of dusts, and people's ideology kind of came out in the midst of all of that. You get to hear what people really think. There are the for and the against. But I would just talk about what I perceive, my perception about this whole situation. Now, as much as I don't like the outcome of the wife finding out that, everything he owns, like practically everything he owns is under his mother's name. I don't know why I don't like it. It somehow, it feels a bit somehow. I can't completely say that was okay, but at the same time, from his point of view, I see it as a smart move. I see it as an intelligent move, especially if you're blessed with a mom that is financially savvy, or maybe you had a promise. You made a promise that, look, all this hard work you've been doing to help me make something of myself, I will make it up to you. Both of them have been through a lot. When it comes to the relationship between his son, a man, and his mom, like, there is depth to that relationship that you can never fathom. They've been through hell and high water a lot of times. They've been through a lot. Like, that is like the closest person to them, right? And so for once, it's nice to see, well, not for once, it's nice to see a young man who is grateful. That's what I think. A young man who is grateful and who didn't forget his home despite all the flashy lifestyle and all the flashy things or flashy lifestyle that footballers are kind of exposed to. He's sort of grounded. Now, of course, a lot of people said he's too young to have made that executive genius decision, but I disagree. Like, what has age got to do with smartness? What has age got to do with intelligence, right? I mean, if someone had advised, it was based on an advice by somebody else, I think every footballer would have done the same thing. Because most footballers that come from no privilege, they have families who were supportive of them. Not all of them though, but majority of them had families who were supportive, who went through a lot together, right? So you can understand that it makes sense that when they begin to make money, they invest back in their family, right? And they uplift their family and make their family better, financially and economically wise. Like, they set up everybody that needs to be set up, like kind of empower everybody in their family that needs to be empowered, and invest into the family heavily to make the family no longer a family stricken with financial constraints, but now starting a new generation of well-to-do family. So of course it takes a lot of investments, but I think if you're making a lot of money like footballers obviously do, it is not an impossible tax to make. And so I think that it's been agreed that his mother, that is Hakimi's mother, is the matriarch of the family. And so she, manages the funds. She probably doesn't even touch that money. For women who can be trusted with money, they will not touch the money you give them, even if the money is their son's money. Unless it says, look, take this money. Sometimes it has to give instructions, I'm sure. Like, can you take out of that money to deal with that issue and those issues, right? So we want to start from the very beginning. Some people say he's not smart enough. I don't understand why we always think that people age. We say age is, on one hand, we say age is a number. On the other hand, we don't really mean it. We just say it because it's the woke thing to say. But do we really mean it? Apparently not. Because when some people sit down somewhere and say something like, oh, he's not smart, he's too young to have made that decision. Are you kidding? There are geniuses everywhere, and age is not a limit to how intelligent or how smart or how brilliant or how genius you can be. But let's just assume he was advised. He was well advised. I agree. And from all indications, this was obviously something that has been decided upon before he met his wife, right? So I don't see any reason why that should change. And I'm speaking from a woman's perspective as well. I don't see why that should change. Like, if he's not taking care of his responsibilities as a husband and as a father, then maybe that should be a problem. But if he's taking care of his responsibilities, what he does with the rest, whatever that is his business. I mean, if you're a 50-50 kind of woman where you're contributing, even if you're not if you're a 50-50 kind of woman where you're investing your own funds and he's investing his own funds into the family, then I can understand why you might be a bit bothered. But if you are a woman who likes to be cared for while you take care of the home, while you take care of the children, and you don't want to be distracted, you want to invest your time into raising children and being a stay-at-home mom, like you want to invest that time into being a stay-at-home mom, then if he's taking care of his bills, he's picking up the bills, I don't see what the problem is. Now, to Hakimi's wife, I don't know, that issue is annoying on some areas, but it's also very funny. The fact that she went there to the courts, as it's normally done in the West, in Europe, to go and file for and ask for half of everything, only to get there and realize that the guy has practically nothing. And she has to even split her own in two. That was I must say that was funny. It was. And unfortunately, Habi, I think that's her name, has made herself look like a gold digger, unfortunately. I would like to think that there is more to what is going on in her marriage and in her life than wanting to cut away with hundreds of millions. But it's going to be hard to defend her. I mean, I tried to do that and say, you know what, we don't know the full picture and we probably will never know. But I think that maybe she's been offended, she's been hurt by some internal family issues. And she felt that compensation, the least compensation she could get for the mess she's been through, is at least half of everything he owns. But if there has been no problem, everything has been fine, right? And then you now come up all of a sudden, like it's like you jumped on the bandwagon of, oh, he raped somebody and then you just decided that before he has to pay for compensation or go to jail or whatever she was expecting to happen, that she was going to just take her own share, in quotes, of the money and go away. Well, apparently there isn't much of anything to go away with, whatever her reasons are. I'm not expecting that she shouldn't ask for money. That would be ridiculous, because Hakimi has been the one that has, as far as I know, and correct me if I'm wrong, that has been picking the bills. So she's used to her expenses being cared for, while I believe she was taking care of the children, right? Taking care of the children, even if you have nannies working for you, is not that easy. Like, you have to supervise what they're doing and make sure that they're doing it right. And it doesn't leave much room to work, especially if your kind of work is not a remote work, right? Hers is going to locations, flying to different places in the continent or anywhere in the world to shoot a movie or to shoot a soap opera or for modeling shoots. And she wouldn't have time for anybody. In fact, she would hardly have time for herself, right? So that was put on hold, I think. Okay, so now, of course, I had to go on a break. Yeah, as I was saying, it would be ridiculous to expect that she would not ask for anything. I mean, like I said, it's we all sort of assume that it was Hakimi that has been taking care of her living expenses and everything. And even if it isn't, at least what I would expect is, within reason, maybe keep paying 80% of whatever it is allowances that he's been giving her, pay for a house for her, not a rented apartment, a house, but it's not going to be in her name, just like he did with his own self. It's going to be in the children's name, but as long as she lives, as long as she's alive, it will be hers to use, but it's not hers legally. So which means that she cannot mortgage the house or sell the house or do what she likes with the house. No. She can decorate it as she wish or whatever, but the house would belong to the children officially. So, but as long as she's alive, it is hers to use, not to sell, not to mortgage. Same thing with maybe cars or something like that, or vehicles. Until the children are 18, I think it would make sense to keep paying her whatever allowances that he has been paying her before. If he doesn't feel as generous, he can reduce it to 80%. Like, you can find something to do remotely, occasionally, to make up for the rest or something. I expect that at least you should have asked for what she's going to need on a daily basis and enumerate them and, list them. This is how I lived while I was with him, that has made it convenient to take care of the children, right? So that is what I expect to be asked. But I guess maybe she doesn't want to go through all that trouble. Just give me half and I'm okay. Well, that has boomeranged. I don't know whether to say unfortunately. I don't know whether to say unfortunately, because now even what she has is going to be shared in two, and she's not looking very good right now. She really, really is looking like somebody who was just there all along for the money. And like I said, I was trying to, on Twitter, trying to say, look, we don't know what happened. Maybe that is just her own way of asking for compensation for whatever wrong Hakimi may have done to her. Like, you never really know what is going on with couples, maybe she's always wanted to leave, and so maybe that accusation of rape was just what broke the camel's back for her, and she's like, you know what, I've endured this enough, I'm not doing this again, and out of, you're going to pay for what you did to me. So she wanted him to pay, literally, according to the law. Except now, she's the one who is paying more. I don't know. I don't even know what to think. I don't know how to even process that. I feel for her in a way, maybe because I'm a woman. But like I said, I think what she should have asked for was her living expenses. For him to just be paying it, maybe like monthly or weekly or something, along with, paying the children's school fees and paying the children's living expenses and all of that. Along with that, she gets her own allowance and the children get their own allowance, and, and she's very transparent about how she spends the money. Accountable, like, this is how I'm spending the money. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's like as we were doing before, just like we're in separate quarters now. And then work on getting back on her feet again, which isn't much, especially if you're, at least now she doesn't have to be moving around. She can just stay in one place, choose one place and stay there, and have their father come and see them, or send the children to their father or something. I don't know, whatever arrangements they come up with, right? So I understand a bit from both sides of the conversation, and so here is what I'm going to say, in addition to all that has been said already. I think people should try as much as possible to marry for the right reasons, right? Marry for the right reasons. I know that sometimes that can be thwarted. Like it becomes sometimes like what you ordered versus what you got. Sometimes it can become like that, where you're like, I didn't bargain for this. This is not what I asked for when I was going into this, right? Sometimes it happens that way, but at least try your best, Maybe she thought that him being young and everything, she wouldn't have much of any problem. Like, he would be easier to work with, considering he doesn't have much of any experience with women. I mean, what kind of experience can you have with women at the age of 19, especially if you're not a bum? You've been working very hard to earn a living for yourself and for your family. Like, you've been trying and you're working hard. Do you understand? There isn't much of any experience that you would have with women. So maybe she thought he would be easier to work with, and it didn't turn out as she expected, right? There's been talk flying about the issue of rape, and some people said that it's something. I mean, we're noticing that when it comes to black men, they usually get ripped off quite easily. Like, something just comes up, and they brought up the issue of a guy that his wife wiped clean, like that he became homeless. Like, he became homeless, because apparently it was his wife that was managing his finance, right? She was educated, obviously. He wasn't literate. So he just felt, let me do the work, you take care of the finances. And she decided to help herself with everything, leaving the guy, stripping the guy of everything he had. And if I'm not mistaken, the woman he married was also older, So sometimes, and the annoying part of it was that he was in a relationship before he married this woman. So it seems like there's a conspiracy where black footballers or black sportsmen end up being with women that are not of their own race, and they find themselves in situations where they are paying through their nose over settlements. Something happens, maybe an argument or something, and she's like, I'm out of here, and I'm having half of everything you own, right? But that's another topic for another day. I don't even want to talk about that though, because I think it's their issue. If they think that black women are not worthy of them during their success, I don't have time to be arguing with somebody who doesn't see me or my sisters. I don't have that time. Like, I'm busy, okay? I don't have that time to be bothered about someone who sees me or doesn't see me. So but then again, I'm not happy that they are being stripped. I mean, because when you're a child of God, even though you feel like some people deserve what they were getting, like it's what they were looking for that they got, a part of you still feels like, but it's still not right, There are so many examples. I can't even begin to mention their names, but I think some of you may have known. So you find them, these black men just go for women outside that are non-black, and then next thing you know, they are being, not just even in sports, even in entertainment, as long as they have money, and then they're in a financial battle, they just up and leave. And the thing is, I can't really blame the women a lot as well sometimes. I mean, some of them are obviously there for the money. You can tell, like, some of them are just with the guy because he has money. Like, if he did not have money and they can't see that he can make money anytime soon, they probably will not even look at him twice. No, they won't even look at him once. But he has money, and money has a way of making, for some women, money has a way of making men look attractive. So they were like, okay, let's see how this goes. But if it doesn't go well, I'm out of here. You understand? Apart from all of that, non-black women don't take crap most of the time, especially the ones that are dating or marrying black men. They don't take crap. So the things that we black women would take, and the community, the aunties, the uncles, the mothers, the African society, black community will say, well, you know how men are, boys are always going to be boys, and they mean that in a very toxic way. Men are always going to be men, and they mean that as well in a toxic way, from infidelity to violence, to a man not just caring, to a man just up and leaving. He will just up, disappear for months. No, this is where I'm going. And then he just breezes back in again. That sort of thing. It's been normalized in the African community, such that it's not a big deal if you're complaining about it. You're just being whining. You're just whining. You just want to complain, instead of you to be silent and just build your, quote and unquote, build your home. But you see, non-black women would not take that, especially the ones that would marry black men. They won't accept that. Do you understand? They will not. If you try that, in fact, they must really love you if they give you a second chance, which means you tried it the first time, and then when you eventually show up or maybe apologize for whatever, they will now say, look, don't ever do this again. If you do that again, I'm out of here. And they mean it. A black woman will say, if you do that, I'm out of here. Not really. As soon as she's begged, and the guy carries puppy eyes and he's rolling on the floor, brings his friends, brings his family, and maybe tries to shame her into forgiveness and acceptance by putting it on social media. That's when they now put it on social media, like, please, I've been begging her. And people now say, oh, people make mistakes. And then they now kind of pressure her into yielding and changing her mind. You can't do that with non-white women. They probably will sue you again. I mean, by the time they even sue you once, you're still busy grappling with that. So, I mean, it's hard for me to kind of interfere or start to talk about, black men and their preferences, like we like to say it, because, hey, you saw it before putting your head into it. That was what you chose. I mean, if you have chosen that, you should get therapy so that whatever it is you're doing with black women that you were getting away with, you don't try to do that. But some people just don't learn. So it is what it is. But it's disheartening how marriage is being viewed these days. And I keep telling people every opportunity I get, and I will say it again, marriage is not hard. It's the people in it. Look, if the people in it are not doing it well, it will not work for them. It's that simple. It's like saying a car is not working, but you're not turning on the right buttons. You're not in the right sequence. Like look, I don't know how to drive a car, so let me not even go into the technicalities of driving a car. But if you're supposed to apply brakes and then you went and pressed the clutch, you can't complain if it gives you a different result, because that was not what you were supposed to do. You don't go into marriage doing anyhow, behaving anyhow. Marriage will also do you anyhow. It will not yield its benefit to you if you don't study what marriage is. Marriage is God's idea, not man's idea. So it's in the best interest of all that we find out exactly why God created marriage and ask ourselves, can I fit into this? Like, do I have what it takes? So if you know what marriage entails, and you know that you don't have what it takes you're not equipped for that sort of thing, you either get equipped or you just stay alone. Right? It's that simple. People do it a lot. They stay alone. And when I say stay alone right now, I don't mean changing women or changing men or being sexually loose. That's not what I mean. But like really alone. They just stay as celibate as possible. In fact, some of them just completely lock up sexually and socially. Like they just make friends, whether be it male or female. They just make casual friends, platonic friends, and that's about it. You understand? So you have a situation like that where people are not studying marriage and studying how to get married, and they just, boy likes girl, girl likes boy, and they just say, okay, let's get married. And sometimes, of course, there's always a reason for you to even want to go into marriage. Maybe there is a benefit you think you get from it, and then you go in there and it's something else. But one thing I do notice about marriage is that if you two agree on why you're getting married, chances are it will work for a long time. Like you both agree. When I say you both agree, I mean you are there for benefits. Maybe you're both in it for the money. Do you understand? And you have agreed. It's on the table. Like, I'm here for the money. The guy also says, so am I. And, that's fine. And you guys work out an agreement and you're cool with that. You understand? It's not an issue of saying you love him or you love her, but that's not why you're there. You're there for something else. But you're not saying what you're there for. And the person is assuming that what you told them is why you are there. That is where the problem is. But when you both know why you are there, you're open about why you are in that relationship or why you're going into marriage. As unhealthy as it might be, chances are it will work because you are there for a common goal. You have a common goal. You have something in common. And what you have in common or what you both agree upon is usually what makes a marriage last, because you have rules and regulations, you have guidelines, and you just stick to the agreement, and that's it. All right, guard your hearts with all diligence. Let's guard our hearts with all diligence, for out of it flows the issues of life. When we know our God, we will be strong and we will do exploits. God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. Remember that God loved the world in so much that he gave his only begotten son, that If you and I believe in him, we will live. We will not perish, but we'll have an everlasting life. And read it, at least one verse of the Bible today. Till next episode, peace.